Hey all, today we're going to rank the worst or best support duos, pairs, or whatever you like to call it, which are the two heroes you pick for a certain role. So something like Tracer Sombra, Widow Hanzo, Ranzaria, and I won't name any supports, that's giving away too many spoilers. I am going to be honest right now, I am venting and I just all of a sudden have a lot of inspiration. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm just know I'm in pain, a lot of pain. But when it comes down to ranking these, I've got three different factors that contribute to how I rank these. The first of which is the power of the individual kits. So like their survivability, primary weapon lethality, healing output, etc. The second is the hardness of the duo, meaning a support duo may be more powerful in theory, but it requires a GM level of coordination to pull off. And lastly, the synergy between the supports and how well they can cover each other's weaknesses, because only a support can heal a support soldier, but whatever. I want everyone to focus more on the tiers this time rather than the order within each tier. And I'll include the good support duos too. All right? Sounds good? Yeah. Let's start off with the worst support duos that there are. The Please No Sir tier. And that kind of explains itself. You want to avoid these supports at all costs, or support duos, I should say. And the reason being comes down to two things. For one, it incorporates the two worst supports in the game, that being Moira and Lucio. The reason why I don't like Moira and Lucio as healers is that in ranked, you don't have a lot of team play. Just now, as you're watching, you're seeing teams use Lucio. So just to put that into perspective, Lucio is not a horrible healer. The teams like Dallas Fuel, who use the zombie comp that's like a Winston dive with Moira Lucio as their supports, they use Lucio to get in quickly and then also use the speed to get out just as fast, right? So that type of comp, that dynamic is what makes Lucio super powerful. However, when your teammates are all scattered throughout the map, you're not going to find that same level of coordination, right? Like you're not going to find that same level of impact. Same with Moira, except Moira is not as dependent as for her teamwork, although she does prefer to have her her teammates all clumped together. She could still heal pretty fine. Like she's a main source healer. I should also define main source healing, because main source healing, I like to get away from the main support, flex support type deal. I feel like the description is all jumbled up, but the main source healer is what I define as healers that can output a lot of healing very quickly. So something like a Moira, Bap, and Ana, those three specifically. Mercy can kind of fit into that, but she's pocketing and not healing everyone. So that's my thinking in that matter. But these main source healers are really good at just maintaining and preserving the life of a tank who might be feeding, for instance, right? So you want that burst healing as much as possible. Otherwise, if you have some of the comps, like we'll get into the Mercy Zen type deal, which are viable in Owl because they know how to position themselves and take less damage, right? This is not a good support duo for comp, and I'll get into that later. But back to Moira, she isn't a very unique hero. Like she just heals and does damage. That's her thing. Her niche is actually farming up coalescence as fast as possible, and she's not going to be able to do that without her teammates being all clumped together, right? And providing more value to her healing because it's AoE. Did that make sense? Whereas if you look at the other healers, if you look at Ana or Bap, who have Lamp, Nano, you've got Sleep, you've got Anti-Nade, Brig CC galore, able to defend and bodyguard anyone she likes. Zen Discord, 30% damage boost. That thing is just going to burn targets down with a 30%. Right, so when comparing against those heroes to Moira, she really doesn't have anything special and going for her other than her coalescence, which she can farm up fast, only if her teammates are there allowing her to heal everyone all grouped together. That way she's not like just burning all of her healing resources, right? So the second reason is that these guys just don't synergize whatsoever, right? You look at Moira Zen, who's going to appeal for the Zen? The Zen is just a liability. Or you got things like Mercy Lucio, which is a common comp for some reason. But yeah, that support duo, Brig Lucio, Zen Lucio, they just don't have a high healing output. And then if you look at Moira Mercy, who I've deemed as pretty decent healers, right? You got a main source healer and the best pocket healer. They're not great at healing the rest of their team, because you've got Moira, although she's got her jump boost, which doesn't really affect her play too much. It makes her a little more active in fights. But other than that, doesn't change her playstyle too much, and her kit, it's just a good quality of life thing, I guess. But Moira is limited in her healing range, and then you got Mercy, who's single target. So you're actually, it's kind of like a facade. It's fake. Their healing potential, it's not good. All right, can work, which are the specialists as I've deemed it, but also like the skill comps like Mercy Brig, which is I think a pretty popular comp for Chengdu. Not too sure. This one definitely Shanghai comp. We have Li Jaegon on Mercy and Izayaki on Zenyatta. I forgot his name. What makes this comp work is the fact that like Shanghai had a Wrecking Ball, and they're just like really great at peel, so they don't take as much damage. And although like despite their healing deficiencies, the damage boost is what actually makes that comp work. And so that they all dive together, they burst a target down, they have player advantage, and then they kind of just snowball from there. That's how the support duo works, but it takes a very high skill ceiling, like very high skill players. But then you kind of got like the miscellaneous, which are going to be kind of like something like this. You've got, who else? I make these tier lists pre-planned, and then I just talk over them. So I'm kind of like going fresh, but also I put some thought into this beforehand, just so you guys know how this works. Who am I missing? Oh, Ana Lucio. Good. Okay. I'll probably put that one up here, or maybe I could put that quite all right. But just to put my theory behind here, why I don't like these heroes too much. Like, they can work, it's just very inconsistent, it's very comp dependent. And I could see the Ana Lucio working. If you think of a Ryan comp, you've got Lucio to enable the Reinhardt. Then you've got the Ana, who has that huge impact abilities like the Biotic Nade. You use Lucio to speed boost the Ryan, you guys roll over a team. You also got Nano Boost. You've got Sleep Dart, so like Lucio can peel for the Ana. There's different things that make this comp work. This is like OG dive, actually. But there are better comps out there. And it's like, imagine this in a Wrecking Ball comp. You're not actually helping anything. It's actually Ana who's doing most of the heavy lifting. And then you got Lucio is just kind of either peeling for the Ana or being a Reddit Lucio. Ana Brig, cool. They work together. They synergize. They can peel for each other. Like Lucio, Brig is more viable because she can actually peel for the Ana more. But there's nothing too special about Brig unless it's a comp dependent like dive, in which case the Ana enables her Winston, but also the Brig can provide some protection when the enemy dive comes on in. You could actually probably put this one more in the quite alright category, but again, I'm going to base this off of Diamond, so I'm just like, I'm making these decisions in my head. This one, you can make it quite alright. Like, that's why these are on the can work, but it's comp dependent. It's complicated. This one is probably the worst, though. Nothing super special. I mean, you're not going to die to dive, but have fun going up against poke or something like that. There's one problem, though, with Ana, and that's why I'm keeping them in the can work, is that Ana isn't as powerful as she once was. As long as the meta is more like BAP Brig and like double shield type stuff, Ana's just not going to find the same amount of impact because she's best in dive, and dive's not meta currently. It's more or less Ana is just less impactful than, or how do I phrase this? She's more liable than a BAP or Brig. I think that's how I want to say it, because she's the third best support in terms of high ranked play. She's a comfort pick, so you know what? I'll put it right there. I'll put it right there because this comp is more viable in different situations. Like, it's more versatile than it is this comp. This comp is like, you must have Reinhardt type thing. Otherwise, it doesn't work with the comp. Next up, we're going to go to the quite alright category. Again, all these, no order, right? Like, it's just pick these heroes in these top 3 categories. That's all I'm preaching here, please. And then you've got, I think I got one more. On a BAP. Was there one more I was supposed to do? I feel like I'm missing one. Oh, right there. Boom. Okay. Yeah. Same issues as the other ones before. They're just kind of comp dependent. The specialists, yeah, not very versatile. All right. So again, back to the quite all right. I am missing one more. Boom. Man. So we already talked about the Ana Brig. Let's talk about Ana Zen. Why does this comp work? Well, Ana is a very versatile hero with the Biotic Nade. Very good in dive. This is a very, very good in dive. I put it in great synergy because it's really good in dive. You got the Zen Discord, which means the dive can come on through and you're more likely to finish off a pick than not. Although the weakness of this comp is the Zen liability and Zen not being able to be peeled. And then you've got these two here, which I think they're good for the mid-table ranks. Definitely not good in high tiers of play, unless you're like top 500 and you can just like carry with these heroes because you pop off. But in just like the diamond, they're just consistent. I think that's a word there, that these guys are very consistent, but there's one thing missing with these. These two duos here are both double main source healers, and that's a problem. Why is that a problem? Well, because there's so much healing that it's almost like you have an overwhelming amount of healing, but not enough of like a Zen Discord orb, which actually really hurts. A Lucio whatchamacallit, speed boost, which can be like more potent than just BAP healing, right? Like, would you prefer the speed boost over just overwhelming healing? Yes, if your teammates are feeding. But in high rank play, you would probably prefer, or just any rank to play, you would prefer something that is more, that's got some more punching power. And that's kind of the issue with this one in particular, is that you just got BAP, who's got very good defensive abilities, can shoot a little bit BAP, but for the most part, these guys are just tilting the scales in the healing, not so much in the impact perspective. Great synergy. Now these guys, this guy in particular, is a scary comp to go up against for a ball player. You want to go after Zen? Well, you can't, because Brig exists, and then you've got like Discord hurts. This comp is really brutal against dive comps. You do have to keep in mind that these guys don't heal very often or aren't great healers, but Brig, actually, just how she's built, is a pretty good healer herself. She's probably on par with Moira healing, honestly. Given the fact that Moira is not going to be healing everyone at the same time, Brig can heal through her Inspire and get whip shot, protect people because of her CC galore, and I think she'll have more uptime than Moira because of her Inspire. Yeah, and then Discord is kind of like the thing that kills people, rather than Moira just kind of just living and healing, but not being great at the healing part due to her limited range. Yeah, I'm just thinking about this. Yeah, so I was just debating whether or not I could put this in the can work, but I think this is like a legit comp if you know something about how to play Brig. I think that's the thing that really hurts players, is that you just don't know what you're doing. But also, if you're playing a Ryan comp, I don't think this is the comp you want, because Ryan's just going to take so much damage, and Monkey might take a lot of damage if they just poke their head out just a little bit. So it's hard to, with this comp, it's hard to maintain a level, like sustain healing. There's not a lot of sustain healing. You can't prolong fights, which is going to be really hard if you can't just like instantly burn down enemy teams. So on the fence with the can work, but definitely I would put that at a great synergy. If your teammates aren't feeders, this can work, because Discord gives you some sort of focus fire and can burn down a target, and then Brig just protects the Zen, making sure that Zen doesn't die. And if Brig is able to, just kind of live and protect the Zen, that's doing her job, because then it's like being a distraction almost. It's kind of how Wrecking Ball plays. He doesn't really do anything except be a distraction, and then your team can just like roll over the opponent because they're like, well, I used every single ability and couldn't kill him. Well, that's exactly what he wants to do. And then your teammate just has more resources. And then, whew. Okay, so that was the longest part. Let me just try and speed this up here. So we've got this, BAP Zen. You've got, Brig, whatever. I should have 5 here. I am missing this guy. That's what I'm missing. I'm looking over and it's just not matching up quite right. I'm like, huh. But it is this person that goes to my great synergy. Don't know why, but I would probably, in this current state of the game, I mean, I've taken this probably like a month ago, so this different opinions have formed. Again, we're seeing Lucio now because I think he's still great if you're a specialist, right? Like Moira or Lucio, certain comps, boom. And then you've got BAP, Lucio, those are probably up there, all things considered, because they're more versatile. BAP is the best healer in the game because of Lamp, Regenerative Burst, AoE healing, main source healer. Amp Matrix is also not bad, but there are better support ultimates. This one can have a huge impact if BAP wants to go DPS mode. That's how BAP works. He's going to be a very defensive and reliable, consistent healer, but if he wants to, he can pop off with his Amp Matrix. Lucio, comp dependent. You're going to have those for the Run comps or bunker comps with like double shield. This one is more of a dive potentially, but also double shield rush. Maybe not dive, I don't know. A good poke actually with the Discord. But there is one thing to consider. Do you prefer Zenyatta's ultimate over Lucio's ultimate? I do prefer Zenyatta's ultimate unless there's an Ana for obvious reasons, because an ability like just a cooldown can deny any value from Zenyatta's ability or ultimate. Wow. But Lucio's ability is just going to provide less value unless there's a Sombra EMP, which is the ultimate for ultimate. I'd probably still prefer Zenyatta's because it's a long lasting compared to Lucio's beat, which is like an instant health boost but dwindles away, and if you're being focus fired, it's definitely gonna, it's like a primal monkey primal. That's what it's going to be like for every single person, but it eventually wears off. So I prefer Zenyatta's Transcendence because it just ensures everyone stays alive, whereas this one with focus fire, they can just burn down a target, and it only lasts like 3 seconds. I feel like it doesn't last too long. Like you go from 1,300 health or whatever down to 400 in 3 seconds, I believe. Like it's not great. It's good for Nanoblade, like poor Genji, but I would prefer Zenyatta's ultimate though. All right, now this is the moment you've all been waiting for. If you skip to this, hi, how's it going? These are heroes that you should definitely play, because not only are they reasonably easy, but they are just the best healers and combos you can possibly have. I think this and this are the best support duos you can have in the game. No particular order, because it's all comp dependent, because like this is probably the most versatile for dive, rush, and poke. But I would say it's just harder to play because Brig is hard to understand in the diamond environment, right? On a Mercy, probably the easiest of all these comps, but there's not a lot of defensive abilities. Like Bap can hold his own pretty well with his lamp and regenerative burst and exo boots, whereas Ana is more liable, but she does potentially have more impact with her biotic nade and whatnot. So it's basically, are you preferring offense or are you preferring more defense and sustain? Personally, I prefer the defense because, like, I mean, Bap isn't horrible at offense. He's likely the second best offensive hero. No, Ana, Zen's probably first, Ana second, Bap's third in terms of damage supports. Moira could fit in there, but she's kind of like a lost cause. You would prefer a better healer than her. But yeah, this I think is like the perfect combination of easy to play, very good heroes, like in terms of their kit, and also impactful. They synergize quite well. There's not a lot of weak spots, definitely not with this one. This one, Ana's a little bit more weak, but it's an easier comp to play with. This one is probably the balance between the two, right? So offense, very defensive. This one has some offense with the pocket potential, but also Bap is just a crazy good hero currently. Probably the best support in the game if I didn't say that already. This is what you should play, okay? I'm just going to say that right now. I'm glad that it's all settled. Simply pick any of the top 2 or 3 tiers, preferably the top 2, because why wouldn't you not? And if your support teammates picks Lucy or Zen, then you just have to pick those very specific synergies. Pick a comfort hero that also plays well with your counterpart, again, within those top tiers. May I remind you, Overwatch is a team game, and when you get the found game sound, the proven way to avoid, or at the very least reduce the net tilt, is by picking the right heroes that fit nicely into a comp, because, well, you'll be winning. Anyways, I'm off to go and grab my SR back. See you guys.